For info, go to visitrw.com.
AccuWeather says we're at the end of our streak of really nice weather. Clouds are here, and it's going to be an overnight low of 59. Tomorrow will be a cloudy day with a shower or two around, especially in the afternoon. Tomorrow's high just 66, so we're cooling down a bit. Not as cool as last time around. Tomorrow night, occasional rain, down to 56. Thursday, a couple of showers, high around 70. And Friday, a couple of showers with a mix of clouds and sun. Friday's high 74, and then Friday night going into the weekend, another rain is possible. Right now, cloudy, that's all we have. The showers are way off over Pennsylvania, and we have 75 degrees right now in New York. I'm Wayne Cabot. Winds News Time 3:30.
Good afternoon. I'm Lori Madden. Can the Knicks tie it up tonight against the Pacers? Game 4 is in Indiana. We checked in with fans.
That's it. Tonight's a big deal. New Yorkers know it. In fact, some are surprised the Knicks made it this far. The surprise won't stop predictions.
I think this tonight might be over with. But I feel like Indiana wins tonight, and they come back to New York and see what happens.
They possibly win again.
Oh, the Knicks winning tonight.
Yeah.
I know so.
And why not put some money on those predictions?
I'm not betting on the Knicks. I'm betting on the over tonight. I think it's gonna be a lot of points. I think they come out turning up. I think they come out guns blazing. Well, I've lost so much. I have no choice but to bet on the Knicks.
Okay, after that. But you're rooting for New York regardless.
I'm rooting for New York regardless, and we finally have a team that people have faith in.
So let's see if the Orange and Blues pull through. Amanda Alexander, 92.3 FM.
Wednesday time, 3:31. Time now for traffic and transit. Here's Greg Rice.
Brooklyn, big trouble on the belt. Eastbound getting out to Shell Road. The two left lanes are now blocked as they try to get rid of this truck that's been there for about an hour on the eastbound belt. So with only single file traffic getting by, the eastbound belt in Brooklyn is standstill from before the Verrazano, and the ramps from the Verrazano themselves aren't great either. Westbound belt, everything's open, but everybody got nosy from Flatbush Avenue to Shell Road. It's a standstill because of that eastbound truck that broke down. Looks like on the eastbound Long Island Expressway in Queens, we're finding the worst of it home. Eastbound LI bad from the B2E out to the Cross Island. It's not perfect on the Grand Central, but it's at least better. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Citybound George, good enough to the upper and lower. West side, the best you're going to do getting out of town. Lincoln, no more than a few minutes in. Outbound Lincoln behaves for the most part. So does the outbound Holland. Brooklyn down Brooklyn Bridge. Citybound Midtown Tunnel, worst of it across the east. Queensbound Whitestone Bridge and the southbound Whitestone Expressway all jammed up to Northern Boulevard. Not perfect, but better on the Throgs Neck Clearview combo. And if you're in a jam, call the Barnes Firm traffic tip line at 844-JAM-1010. That's 1010. Traffic is sponsored by the Barnes Firm. I'm Greg Rice. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
I'm attorney Rich Barnes. If you've been in a car crash, choosing the right firm is crucial to get the help you need and the best result possible.
Now the AccuWeather 4-day forecast. Here's meteorologist Brian Thompson.
Gloria, so it's been a cloudier day overall today. We've been seeing some sunshine, but it's certainly been dimmed by the high clouds that we have overhead. We are going to have a partly to mostly cloudy sky through tonight, a low of 59, and with more clouds tomorrow, which will turn out to be a pretty overcast day, it is going to be cooler. It's not going to be those really chilly days we had last week when it was in the low to mid 50s in the afternoon, but a high of 66, certainly on the cool side for late May, and there will be a shower or two around, especially later on. Then occasional rain and drizzle tomorrow night, a low around 56. Still rather cloudy on Thursday, a couple of showers, but a high near 70. Again, not too bad. Clouds with breaks of sun on Friday, another shower or two possible with a high of 74. Looks like we'll see a steadier period of rain around into Friday night, perhaps even into a portion of Saturday. In general, on Saturday, still a few showers and highs in the low 70s before it dries out on Sunday. Right now, mostly cloudy at 72 degrees. In Midtown, we're going down to 59 tonight. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station, 1010 winds on 92.3 FM.
They're committed to providing you with the best customer service experience possible, so you get a fast and reliable connection that makes more things possible. Backed by a 100% U.S.-based workforce, available whenever you need them. Spectrum.
A federal judge has put the brakes, for now, on the Trump administration's attempts to withhold federal money from the MTA over congestion pricing.
The feds have been trying to end the toll south of 60th Street for months and recently threatened to cut off funding for some transportation and road projects as soon as this week if the cameras stayed off. But the federal judge's temporary restraining order, in effect now till June 9th, says the government can't do that. The MTA has called the threat unconstitutional. This essentially makes the latest deadline to turn off the cameras tomorrow meaningless. State and MTA have ignored several previous deadlines, saying congestion pricing has gone through all the necessary approvals and it works. Back Rosenberg's 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
Governor Hochul released a statement that said in part, "We've won." Again, Judge Lyman's temporary restraining order is a massive victory for New York commuters. Train Daddy is officially on board with the Penn Station redevelopment project. The Trump administration has announced that Andy Byford, the former president of New York City Transit, who became known as Train Daddy, has been named as special advisor to the Amtrak board for the Penn Station project and will oversee the project, reporting back to the U.S. Transportation Secretary. Byford quit his previous gig after tangling with then Governor Andrew Cuomo. If you fly Southwest, a popular perk will no longer be soaring. Free check bags for everyone flying on Southwest. That policy officially over as of this Tuesday. The airline now says passengers will have to pay $35 for their first check bag and $45 for a second one. The most expensive Southwest tickets and those for the top tier of Southwest Miles customers will still come with bags that fly for free. Correspondent Sherry Preston. Broadway is for the birds. Really, Broadway along the west side of Manhattan from Lincoln Center up to Washington Heights is being greened up in the median to better attract migrating birds and insects. The Broadway Mall Association's Ian Olson says the New York City Bird Alliance has been helping them track the birds arriving for a stop.
They have found multiple migratory birds, including the Baltimore Oriole, Northern Parula, Yellow-bellied sapsucker, and yellow-rumped warbler, which are all, fairly rare migratory birds that need Manhattan Island and surrounding areas to get to their breeding ground.
He says the mall serves as a corridor for species to use. 75 degrees now. We are going down to 59 tonight. A thank you today from the world's biggest movie star. That story's next.
Jane Superplanes are here to take your laundry to the next level.
So this is what makes them such a get-out-the-vote extraordinaire, and again, good for Republicans here in New Jersey.
Friends, if you like what you're hearing and you think, wow, wouldn't it be nice to have New Jersey in the red column going forward, you got to give to Jack for NJ. You got to go to the website and be as generous as you can. Jack, final few minutes, and let me just ask you this: we talked a lot about what your campaign isn't, what the state of New Jersey isn't.
It didn't hit home to me about our military. I understood the impact of Memorial Day, but about maybe 10, 15 years ago, we go to Virginia on a military base, family members that, not all friends that are part of the military. And we happen to be there and we're having a meal and it's on the base. And you can see these young soldiers and 18, 19, 20, 21. And to your point, Congressman King, some of them are forced to give up their life and, never have a life, all for country. And you're going to offend all of us and do something as despicable, as reprehensible as do something to call it Africa Day on Memorial Day. It's horrible. I want to ask you this. So the Trump administration is asking federal agencies to cancel remaining Harvard University contracts. The Trump administration up in arms because yet again, the last time I checked, Congressman King, we voted overwhelmingly, certainly I know myself and yourself, for President Donald Trump. And yet these judges, they keep coming along. So President Trump says no foreign students at Harvard University until you turn over these documents to protect Jewish students. Harvard runs to court, gets a judge to block the president's move. When does this stop with all of these judges, Congressman Peter King?
I think it's going to have to be up to the Supreme Court. Listen, not everything Donald Trump is going to do is going to be perfect, but he's right 90% of the time, and he's certainly going in the right direction 100% of the time. So to me, for these district court judges who really represent such a small part of the judiciary, there's like hundreds of these judges, they're just one of them, and they feel like they can block the the work of the executive branch of government. No, this to me, we have to find a way to expedite these cases to the Supreme Court to get decisions early on. And if there is a certain problem with the policy, then they can put in there, what has to be corrected or not corrected, not just block it, not just say it can't be done. And as far as Harvard, because I know they do important medical research and everything else, but to me, if you can find some other school who can do the same type of research, that's one thing. But if not, you can't just be given basically a blank check to schools like Harvard who think they're entitled to this because of who they are or who they've been in the past. No, that just can't be done. They have abused their privileges, they've abused their rights, and the fact that Harvard is almost like a government in exile, and so you shouldn't be giving money to a government that's fighting against you. And that basically, to me, they are a government exile here in the United States. I hope they stay in exile, but I also think we should not be subsidizing them.
So, Congressman King, this issue of the New York Times just did a story, asked in a survey to describe, to come up with animals to describe the political parties. CNN did a piece on it, and in the survey, Democrats were described as deer in headlights. And we all know what that means. It means you freeze. You don't know what to do. Is that a fair? I don't get it with Democrats these days. I want you to tell me from your perspective, how do you see the Democratic Party?
Well, I don't have a degree in abnormal psychology, so it's not going to be that easy, but I will try. But I've actually thought about it a lot, and my mother and father were Democrats. They were Al Smith Democrats, FDR Democrats. Of course, then they voted for Ronald Reagan. But the fact is, the Democratic Party years ago began to drift away, but it never drifted as far away from its bearings as it has in the last several years. I mean, I think we showed it. They showed it during George Floyd when they assumed that all Americans are anti-cop. They assumed, as these disputes come up, that every American is on their extreme side, not realizing that at least if they'd gone to the center or acknowledged that there was another side. But no, if you disagree with them, you're a racist. If you disagree with them, you're a fascist. If you disagree with them, you don't love your country and you want to end democracy. I mean, they basically said that Donald Trump was going to end democracy. Well, he was elected overwhelmingly by a Democratic vote in a democratic society. So they contradict themselves. I mean, if anyone is anti-democracy, now it's them, because they're voting against the results in the last election, which is an open, free election, which elected Donald Trump. And he was elected in spite of having the prosecutors against him, having the national media against him. And also, not only were they against him, but they were covering up for his opponent. They did it in 2020 with the whole thing with his son saying that, Hunter Biden, that this is all part of Russian espionage or Russian collusion. And so that was, and then of course, this, as we know now, for at least the last 4 years, they were totally covering up for the fact that he just doesn't have it anymore. There was a real mental deficiency, which can happen to everyone. I'm not ridiculing anyone for that, but you shouldn't be president of the United States, and people around you should not let you become president.
Agreed. So I want you to explain this, Congressman, and then I want to conclude with whatever's on your mind that you're watching politically. And then, of course, to our audience, we're going to go right back to your live telephone calls in just a minute or so. 800-848-9222. Congressman, explain this to me. Why? Call me cold-hearted, but I don't think I am. Why would I give a damn about illegals, about migrants getting health care, when Americans are hurting, Americans are starving, Americans need health care? Why is the Democratic Party pushing for migrants, for illegals to receive Medicaid and health care? I don't get it, Congressman King.
No, they push for them for that. Also, for due process, as if these are the same as people who have been born and raised in this country, whose families have been here, who pay taxes, who comply with all the rules and regulations, and also the immigrants who came here legally. I mean, to me, it's like a slap in the face to all of them. So no, it's these misplaced priorities. They stand on the side of the criminals. They stand on the side of the illegals. They stand basically against society as we know it. It's almost like a self-hating people. That's the best way I can describe it. There's a self-hating that's involved there. Maybe it started during Vietnam with the student resistance then, but now it's blown all out of proportion. And it's basically, they're proud of how anti-American they can be, how anti-tradition they can be, whether it's the traditional religion, traditional customs, traditions, patriotism, all of that, they laugh at and ridicule.
I close this way. What are you looking at, Congressman Peter King, politically? What's on your radar screen?
Well, let me just say something that may not be popular with all of your listeners, but I consider myself a good friend of Charlie Rangel. He and I probably just agreed on 90%
thank you for bringing it up. Yes, go ahead.
One-on-one and dealing with him when it involved New York, when it involved friendship, when it involved helping people, Charlie was the best. And you never had to worry about Charlie knifing you in the back or saying one thing to you or another. And again, he was firm in his principles. He knew what he believed in. We didn't share many of the same views, but I always respected him. And he was always a gentleman. I never saw him lose his temper with anyone. I never saw him throw his power and authority around. And you wouldn't have known the difference between Charlie, who was there for 40 years, and the guy who just walked in the day before. Charlie treated everybody the same. He was just a great guy. And a war hero. We can't forget that.
You know, Congressman Peter King, this is why I love having you on, because you just carried me here, because I forgot all about yesterday that Congressman Rangel died. And, I had a great relationship with him, but Congressman Peter King, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you, to you joining us again live on the radio very, very soon. Thank you.
It's always a privilege, Dominic. Thank you.
Thank you, and you have a great day and a great week. Let's go back to your telephone calls, 800-848-9222. Steve, line 2, Elmont. What's on your mind, Steve?
Hey, hi, Dominic. In regards to the mayor of Chicago, before the mayor's answer, I think that the Republicans are the wolves and the Democrats are foxes, because they've been very slick for the last few decades. But definitely in deer, definitely in that sense. In regards to the mayor of Chicago, I think that was a missed opportunity to show unity and to also educate people who probably just don't know, while also honoring our ancestors. Black people in this country have been fighting in every war that America
temporary for that period because they want to get a bigger deal in place. And I think that ultimately that 30% tariff is going to drop down to the 12% range. I think by the end of summer, you're going to see, especially for the fall and holiday season, I think you're going to see Walmart, flush with opportunity.
I am with you on that, Kevin. The only thing we all have to be very cognizant of is that once the tariff deals have been brought down and the costs aren't there for companies, I'm not going to just say with Walmart, but with every company, no one is going to lower their prices. No reason to, because once you've gotten the consumer used to a certain price, they're going to continue charging that.
All right.
They will. Okay, so everyone, now let's do our stocks. That's what everybody
Reddit.
wants.
You like Reddit right now. What's going on with Reddit?
Reddit is like, everyone should actually try Reddit. Anyone listening who doesn't even know what it is, pick up Reddit in Google or download it from your, download the app. It's basically like communities of information, and you can share ideas and thoughts and get lots of information on everything you could ever imagine. It's kind of like there's a new paradigm out there. So there's people sharing on Facebook, oh, I'm at the airport, I've gotten on the plane, now I'm off the plane, now I'm having my first margarita. Now this whole thing is Reddit, right? Like, how do I get my child into college? What do I do? What kind of technical schools are the best ones out there? You could join a group on, what are the best technical schools, carpenter, electrician, and you can gain so much insight. I'm just using that as an example. You can also go on and potty training your puppy. What's the best way for doing that?
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform.
Will it get done on time? Is it possible? We can explore that too. Right into this. Stay with me.
This battle against parenthood and the abortion industry is greater than any one of us. And we know who's already are for the MOSs, our specialties.
it can be a much different ride that way. But that's fantastic. And Dominic, I greatly appreciated the way that Steve mentioned how this mayor of Chicago, look, this is just par for the course. You know, let's face it, it would have been nice to have at least acknowledged veterans. And if you wanted to spotlight African American veterans, fine. You know, we all serve together.
Or their stealth stocks, and that's what I think everyone should really be.
So let's talk about a few of those. I think CVNA is on your list.
Yes. So Savannah.
Yeah.
That is. I love it. It's kind of the replace. Basically, luckily did we do the one sentence on the CVNA? It is the replacement. For McDonald's and the replacement for Chipotle. Oh, I'm sorry, it's Carvana. I'm sorry. I thought you said Cava. Okay. By the way, I should do Cava also. I don't know if everyone realized. But you realized it was Cava,
yeah, but the one you liked was Carvana, and this is the delivery.
A couple of years here. NACIP is the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices. We got this from Kent, who says, limiting our access is irresponsible and will kill some people. I have family members who've reacted very severely to COVID and a few friends who died before their time. I get every booster I can. It leaves nothing inside me but a warning to my immune system. I still got COVID while traveling last Thanksgiving, and I was really sick. We also got this from Nina, who says, when does the latest recommendation about COVID vaccines go into effect? Do your guests recommend healthy individuals get a booster now before they're shut out if it's been a year since their last booster? Dr. Alford?
Right. So I think that the first part of that makes perfect sense. There are people who are healthy and young who don't want to get even a moderate infection. I mean, moderate infections aren't fun either. You're home for a few days, you're coughing, you have high fever, you have chills, and this vaccine, this yearly vaccine, gives you at least a 4 to 6 month chance to reduce that possibility. And I just think that by making this the way that they've made it, which is to make it frankly less insurable, that it may be that those who can afford it can get around the system and be able to get the vaccine, whereas somebody who is of lesser means wouldn't be able to do it. So, which is exactly the opposite of what we want to do in this country.
We're speaking to infectious disease experts Dr. Celine Gounder and Dr. Paul Offit. We're also hearing from you. Elizabeth asks, I have asthma. After struggling to get it managed my entire life, it's finally under control, and for the most part, I am healthy. However, with my asthma, I get the flu shot and COVID shot annually per my health team's recommendation. Would I still be able to get it with these restrictions, or am I now considered too healthy? And Dr. Gounder, Elizabeth doesn't mention her age, but any thoughts?
She probably would be able to get it, and we do know, just to reinforce what she's saying about her own risk, viral respiratory infections are important triggers of asthma exacerbations, flares of asthma, as are viral respiratory infections for other conditions like emphysema, chronic bronchitis, what we call COPD. So it is important for somebody like her to continue getting vaccinations for COVID, flu, and potentially also RSV.
Dr. Gounder, public health messaging around COVID has been a major issue since well before the second Trump administration. What message could these new restrictions send to the public about the risks of COVID or about our public health in general?
Well, one of the major qualifications, you could say, to be in this new HHS administration appears to be a COVID minimalist, even denialist. And while we are well past the worst of the COVID pandemic, for certain people, it continues to be a risk. And, you know, me, myself, I am not at high risk. I'm not 65 or anywhere near it. I am healthy, but I do still get vaccinated for COVID and the flu because I don't want to have to call out sick. I can't really afford days off given my work schedule, and I don't want to be getting my patients sick. And while it's not a perfect prevention by any means, and I still do things like wearing masks and all the rest, you know, I think having those kinds of tools available to people, giving people the autonomy to assess their risk, it's rather confounding when these are folks who've said, oh, we want to give people choice,
and that's really not being done here, and it's being done contrary to what we know is safe and effective.
Dr. Offit, your thoughts?
Right. This Robert F. Kennedy Jr., when he was running for president, said, I want to give infectious diseases a break for 8 years, and he's largely ignoring them. I mean, we have a measles outbreak that's caused 3 deaths from measles in this country, which is the same total number of deaths we've had over the last 25 years. We've had the first measles death in a child in this country since 2003. You have a pertussis outbreak now that's twice what it was last year, and the doubling rate is worrisome. You have 216 children who have died of influenza over the last year, which is a number we haven't seen since the swine flu pandemic in 2009, and the administration is just largely ignoring it. And just, as he said, we're giving infectious disease a break. Unfortunately, infectious disease aren't giving us a break, and I really worry that HHS isn't focusing on where it needs to focus.
Well, there are lots more to watch in the weeks and months ahead. That's Dr. Paul Offit. He's a pediatrician specializing in infectious diseases. He's also an expert on vaccines, immunology, and virology. He's the author of several books, including Tell Me When It's Over, An Insider's Guide to Deciphering COVID Myths and Navigating Our Post-Pandemic World. Also with us, Dr. Celine Gounder, a senior fellow and editor-at-large for public health at KFF Health News. She's also a clinical associate professor of medicine and infectious diseases at NYU. Dr. Gounder, Dr. Offit, thank you. Today's producer was Haley Glassingame. This program comes to you from WAMU, part of American University in Washington, distributed by NPR. I'm Jen White. Thanks for listening. We'll talk again tomorrow. This is 1A.